Good afternoon. I'm Meg Griffin, and I'm here at the Carroll County Public Library, Finksburg branch, interviewing Mr. and Mrs. Armacost. Welcome, Mr. and Mrs. Armacost, and thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Well, we have a few questions about your years here in Carroll County. So why don't you start off with telling us where were you born exactly?
Down at Finksburg, right just side of Evergreen Memorial Garden. I was the end of 15.
And you were born at home.
Oh, yes.
And what was the story you told us earlier about your mother having twins?
Mom had twin boys. Dad went on a high-wheel bicycle to the doctor. Time he came back, she had the boys, cleaned herself up and all. One died at 9, one died the next morning.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm sure a lot of women nowadays watching that would not believe it,
Oh,
going
yeah.
all the
Oh, yeah.
time it's spent at the
Well,
hospital
15,
nowadays.
10 grew up
Wow.
and lived long lives.
So you have good genetics.
Yeah.
And so you grew up, it was a farm that you were born on.
Right.
So what was it like on the farm, day-to-day life as a child?
Well, you get up early in the morning and go up to the barn and do the barn work. And then after that, you go out in the fields and do the hay or straw or wheat or corn or whatever had to be done. You always had chickens you had to take care of. But it was a good life, good life.
And being the youngest, I guess you had to pull your weight right from the beginning, huh?
Well, they always called me Runt. And
And the funny part was that what surprised me when I grew to know this family, because I didn't grow up in Maryland, was the fact that he didn't know who his mother was for many years. His sisters were the ones who took care of him.
Really?
yeah,
I guess by the time you got down to 15, your mother was too busy with everything
oh, yeah,
else.
Yeah.
And running the farm and having boarders and roomers. Tell them a little bit about building the highway and putting in gas and electric. Your mother boarding all those people.
Yeah. The one they used to do the highway from Westminster to Reisterstown,
Yeah.
you'd board a lot of those guys. It was all handwork. Big husky men. They'd get up 4 o'clock and start to make sandwiches because you'd make a hole for that day, their meal. Awful lot of work that women went through.
Wow. So did they just stay in a spare bedroom in your house, or did
Yeah,
your parents have a separate
yeah.
place for them?
Oh yeah, sometimes there was 5 or 6 beds in a room where they'd sleep on the floor. Anyway, to get them all settled down. And handwork, it took a lot of food to feed all these guys.
When I came to Maryland as his bride, there were 7 bedrooms, which we in the years past have divided, taken the partitions out, and made nice-sized bedrooms because they were so small. But that was in order to accommodate the roomers and boarders that she had.
Just
Huh?
22 rooms. Amazing. Did you go to school?
Oh, sure.
And where did you go?
Walk down to Finksburg to the old school house,
And then
and then to Westminster after that.
graduated from Westminster High.
Oh, really?
He
The
just
the same
celebrated
one
his
that's
75th class reunion. Was it?
Yes.
75th.
Yeah.
Okay. How old are you?
How old? 93.
93. Wow. So of the 75th reunion, how many people came?
About, what,
6. I think there were 6. There's many in nursing homes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's amazing. That must have been lots of fun to catch up with people.
Yeah, I worked at Besson Steel, and I'd come home in the evening, down to Kay's Mill to the old dam to go swimming, because it was so darn hot in a steel mill.
Oh, yeah.
You know. But that old swimming hole.
That was one of his first jobs. And he went on in years after that to become a brick mason. What else did you do? Oh, you made bricks. He had a brick business, and then he ended up his professional career as a home builder. He built many homes, churches, and doctor's offices in Carroll County. And
Really?
Westminster.
Yeah.
Wow. What were some of the things? Are there any of note? Anything that people might be able to look at? Any public buildings that you had a hand in building?
The Seventh-day Adventist Church on Sullivan Road was
Yeah.
one of the churches.
Mm.
About 4 of the doctor's offices in Washington Heights.
Really?
Many, many private homes. The first solar home, which is owned by Emily and Jack Johnson, out on Deep Run Road, was the first solar home in the Carroll County that he built.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy, so
And-
you've had quite an
And
interesting
that,
life.
that gal, she could outcuss anybody. Well, she could.
And he built William Delaney, the attorney's home, which was an ultra modern home out off Hugh Shop Road.
Partly solar too.
That wasn't solar, no.
So were you self-taught on that? Did you go to school to learn to do
No.
this building, or just
Just
picked
followed
it
my
up?
brothers. They
Interesting.
taught me.
His brother was a contractor,
I see.
and he worked with him. As he tells people, he helped to build the Myers Derborough funeral home and the house beside him, and he worked for 25 cents an hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
Must have been quite a while ago.
Oh my, yes.
So you started out, your family owned a farm, and you just moved off the farm. You didn't stick with it, or did you
Well,
farm for a
we
while?
still live in the same house.
But your brother did the farming.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the rest of you branched out.
Dad bought the house from his father.
Oh, okay. And that's the house that you're living in now.
Mhm.
Wow.
It's 200 years old.
Amazing. Now, what did you do as a teenager? Do you remember anything that specific that you used to do as a regular? Were there movies nearby, or
No, you never went to a movie that cost money. You didn't have money to spend on movies. So-
Okay. So what did you do then?
Driving your sisters and brothers on their dates.
Yes, tell them about the dates that you went on with your brothers and sisters, how you drove and what you did.
Oh, this could be very interesting.
I
Let's
used to
please
show
tell.
for my sister and her boyfriend at that time. They'd sit in the back and hug and kiss, and I said, "I'll never steer away."
And how old were you?
About 10 years old.
No, 12.
12.
12 years
12.
old.
Yeah. Oh well.
I'm surprised. Why did they have you drive? Just
They
so they
wanted
could be
time
in the back.
alone.
So they could love. Oh yeah.
Oh, like a limousine driver. Boy, they must have really trusted you. I can't imagine.
Well, then I'd run out of gas, so I'd go up to the barn, hook up the old horse to the Ford, and I'd drive, let the horse pull me.
Wow. Well, how about when you yourself got old enough, teenage? What did you do? Because you didn't have any little brothers or sisters to drive you on your dates.
Tell them
So-
about holding up the pie pans for your brothers
Oh, yeah.
to take target practice.
I'd come out of the old woodshed, and I'd hold up pie pans, and they'd shoot, and, and they were a good shot, And then one day, we killed the old rooster, so that night we had rooster for supper.
He got disgusted because of something, and he went out and shot the rooster. So
And that was
Mother never
dinner.
knew that he shot the rooster.
Oh my.
But his nieces and nephews were his age. So he
Oh.
had lots of company.
Oh. So that must have been nice for you then. It sounds like you had a great childhood.
Oh yes.
And then how did Mrs. Armacost come into
Oh,
the
boy.
picture?
This is-
I went in maneuvers with the Army,
Yeah.
and you tell.
You want me to tell
Yeah,
this?
okay.
The convoys would stop beside the road for a rest. And I lived in a little town in North Carolina, and we lived right beside the highway. Every Sunday in church, we were encouraged to write the servicemen to keep up their morale. So these guys would ride by and throw out their names and addresses, and girls would pick them up, or the families would pick them up and write to them, keep in touch. So he and his future brother-in-law were in the convoy that stopped in front of our house this particular day. And I picked up these notes, and then I talked to them. They came over and talked to me. And I started writing to them, and his brother-in-law ended up marrying his older sister, and we corresponded for 2 years. We were together for 2 one-week furloughs before we were married in 1944, down in Fort Benning.
Huh.
He was at Officer Candidate School, and I got this very sad call on a Sunday evening. Would you consider getting married down here? I really am I'm out of it. I need to get married now, not later, because we had planned later. So my father, his 3 sisters, and I packed up, and off we went to Georgia. And a little, what was the place? In Baker Village, Army Chapel.
Oh, yeah.
We were married by Reverend Davidson, who we visited 40 years later in San Jose, California. And he told us we were the only couple that had ever come to see him, that he had married.
Really?
While he was in the service.
He was a wonderful guy.
But then we were married in 44 on September the 9th, and we just celebrated our 65th wedding anniversary with a reception at our church.
Amazing.
And our best man is still living. He's on the West Coast. He lives in Seattle, he and his wife. And after 11 months, along came our Army baby. And we were in the Army then after she was born. She was born in an Army hospital until January, when he was released from the service. That was of 1946. She was born in August 1945. And we came to Maryland, and that's when we started this long life together in the home place. Now you can add some more to that. Tell them some of your stories about some of your building, some of the building that you did.
Oh, I built so darn many.
Tell them about the Myers and the tree that she wanted cut down.
Oh, I had to climb it first, cut all the limbs off because it was overhanging the house. Well, for 10 cents an hour, I was getting done.
Jeez.
And I had a pair of climbers, you know. So she was very particular, and she said, "Ed, don't touch this. Don't touch it." I said, "Mrs. Marge, you don't want to come over. You do it." And then she shut up. Oh, yeah.
Smart woman.
Yeah. Oh, well, it was good, though. Very good life.
So you've lived for the 65 years. Did you move right to that house, or?
Yeah.
So what kind of changes have you seen? I mean, is there anything? There have been a lot of changes, but
everything. The farm is now part of Evergreen Memorial Gardens, and the farm. I don't know if you're familiar with Finksburg or not, but the farm started up on Brown Road and extended down to the crossroads. It was a large farm, and of course the highway, the highway was not there. The old road was there. They owned on both sides of the road. And in the years following our moving there and buying the home place from his dad and mom, who were getting up in years, his dad had given each of the boys enough land to build a house on. So it was Charles and Bill and George.
And Claude.
And Claude. Each one of them built a home on the farm.
oh boy, that must have been great.
Dad would say, "Darn cars! I wish those old cars stopped."
He would
So
sit
he
in
did not like the
upper
cars.
bedroom just before he died and count the cars going by. Try to do that now. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Do they still live nearby? Do your any of your siblings live? You're the last ones in the area.
Yeah.
Ah.
He's the last one living.
Wow. Boy, that sounds like a great life, though.
Oh, he had a great life. When I listened to him talk about the gathering place, they didn't have a social hall. It was the church. They got together at the church for church activities. And many times they walked to church because we only lived a mile from church. And they walked to church.
Sunday morning, you get dressed and you go to church or else. And then in the afternoon, you play
Or
bridge.
else.
And is the church still there?
Yes,
Oh,
we
yeah.
still attend it.
Mount Zion Methodist. Oh, okay. Well, good.
Mount Zion.
Boy.
And tell them about the family reunions at the house.
Oh, yeah. Let's hear that.
They've
Well,
been
you tell them.
Tell them how often we have them.
Every year, yeah.
We've had the family reunion at our house every year since we've lived there.
Wow. And I guess it's quite a crowd.
Well, it's dwindled as the years have gone by because so many of the younger ones have other things to do, and it just it was some well, if we have 75, we have a good crowd. But it's a great day because they come from. Last year we had one great nephew come in from California, and they come from all over West Virginia, New Hampshire, all over.
How about our friend from Australia?
No, not
And tell them about the
Australia.
night market, Dad.
He wants me to
Tell
tell
them about
you.
going to the night market.
Hmm?
Tell them about going to the night market on the horse and buggy, or horse and wagon.
Oh, yeah. We haul beans or potatoes or whatever to the old night market. And then each one, the guys would get in a fight to see who was going to go to first. I saw some wicked battles down there at night.
Okay, and how long did it take you to get down there?
About 2 hours. Yeah.
But did you go to Baltimore?
Yes.
Oh.
Good as well,
So why the night? You would have to pick, I assume, in
So
the
it's available
afternoon
the
and
next
then.
day for the
Morning rush.
street vendors to take it out.
Ah. Boy, that must have been interesting. Did they have cars then? Is that the way you took it
Oh, yeah.
from?
We had an old Maxwell truck, solitaire Maxwell truck. Solitaire, and bump, 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 you know.
Before that, it was the horse and buggy.
Sure.
Wow.
Well, he
So-
wants me, he just said, tell him about Australia. We have friends in Australia. We've visited 3 different times. We go for a month at the time. And we've traveled quite a lot, to Alaska, to Europe, to
Hawaii.
Mexico, to
Hawaii.
all over. But he has enjoyed the trips to Australia, I think, more than,
Yeah.
well, he's enjoyed all of them, but I think he looked forward to them more because we saw so much of the country and fell in love with the people.
Very nice people, very nice people. Very thoughtful people.
And tell them what you did in later years, the woodworking, the honey, the bees.
Oh, yeah, I had 33 hives of bees. I used to sell honey all over the place. Put a beard on and all that stuff.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
He was the first president of the Carroll County Beekeepers. He
Really?
was the first president of the Carroll County Home Builders.
But
Amazing.
it
Well,
was-
what got you into beekeeping? Just interested
Well, we wanted honey, and we'd get stung a good bit, but I didn't mind getting stung.
What got your interest started?
Hmm?
What got your interest started?
And beekeeping.
I guess I wanted some honey.
It just fascinated you, didn't it?
Yeah, sure did. Sure did.
Well, it sounded like all kinds of things fascinated you.
He's
Oh.
got an
Tell them
interest
about
in
the
it.
Yeah.
doctors and the nurses who used to come up to get bee stings.
Yeah.
From the hospitals, they used to come up,
Oh, yeah.
and he would charge $5 a sting, and it was therapeutic. Plus the fact Dad had severe arthritis in his spine was the reason he was not a successful candidate for officer candidate school. And
What he
many
didn't
days,
graduate. He attended all the way, but
right,
didn't
but he
graduate.
didn't graduate. He did not make it through. So for many years, I would see my dad, being a contractor, being out in all kinds of weather. Some days he could hardly get out of bed because of the arthritis in his spine. My aunt that was a nurse would come over, massage his back. He'd finally get up and get moving. But then after he started keeping bees, There's no more arthritis. And his spine, from all the bee stings, it's gone.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. There's a lot of natural things here if people take advantage of it. And they don't know it. A lot of them don't want to know it. They want to pay a doctor.
Show him your fingers.
Huh?
Show him your fingers.
Oh, my.
He's lost 2 fingers, the ends of 2
Oh.
fingers. He was out in his shop one day on the lathe doing woodwork, as he did in later years. After he retired, he did a lot of woodwork. Made bowls, made cabinets, and he was on the lathe, and the 2 fingers were pulled into the lathe, and they were just gone.
I had a piece of wood and I put it through the planer.
Butternut.
Yeah, and I didn't feel it. Didn't feel a thing.
And also, I
Jeez.
think they would like to know how you handle that. Tell them what you
Yeah.
told your son
Mm-hmm.
when you asked him to take you to the emergency room. Don't wake Mom. She'll have a fit.
Mm-hmm.
He knew he wasn't supposed to be out in the shop before breakfast. He was right. He was right.
Well, that's how you've stayed married this long. He knows just what to tell you and what not to tell you. Huh?
Don't tell Mom.
And how many years ago did he have open heart surgery?
In 1998.
Mm.
He was one of the oldest ones that Dr. What was his name?
Fiocco.
Huh?
Fiocco,
Yeah.
Did this surgery down at
Union
Union
Memorial.
Memorial Hospital. And usually for open heart surgery, where they put you on a heart-lung machine and actually removed your heart, it was about a 2-week recovery. He was home the 3rd day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, I
not-
think his fall yesterday is proof of how he
Yeah.
snaps back. He has a
Yeah.
great tolerance for pain. But he fell flat on his face on the front lawn yesterday.
Oh,
Thank
Oh.
heavens it
Here
was
he
the
is
lawn.
today.
yeah.
What?
So it,
And what?
Thank heavens it was the lawn and not the driveway.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It's a hard, tough old.
Bird, bird, on the bird. Tough old bird.
bird.
That's
That's what you meant to say. So of all the changes, so it's interesting that you've stayed living at the same place all your life, but you've enjoyed so many different careers, I guess you could say, and traveled around. What is it about your home place, as you call it, that you like the most? What is it that has kept you all these years staying right here
It's
in Carroll
just home
County?
sweet home.
Memories.
Memories is right.
Mm.
Big old sycamore tree out there. People used to tie horses there and put chains, and it's all grown in that tree. But
And that
I-
sycamore tree is in the registry as one of the oldest and largest in Carroll County.
And they had a shelf nailed to that tree with soap and towel, and the pump beside the well was right there. The farm hands coming in would wash their hands before they go in to eat there beside the sycamore tree.
Mm.
and we'd always say the grace. They'd start to say, whoa, 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 whoa. We say a grace around here. A lot of them didn't know what that
was for
meant.
boarders, that was for everybody who ate at their table.
And that still continues, no matter where we go today. I will take them to Panera Bread after we do all our running, and we will always say grace before we eat, out or in, it doesn't matter. Grace is always said.
It's amazing how many people look at you when you stop to say grace.
Yeah, they look like you're goofy.
Yeah.
But you're seeing more
That's-
people do it now.
I just
Well, that's the
owe
secret.
a lot to the Lord.
Right.
Everything you own is up to the Lord.
Mm.
And tell them about our trip across country.
Oh, yes. 1978, 77,
77. We
in the
went across
motorhome.
country. Dad bought an RV.
Yeah.
Tell them about it. You can
How many
remember that.
states?
Oh, we had a wonderful
How
time.
many states were we in?
Hmm?
How many states did we go to? Do you remember?
What? No.
22.
Okay.
22 states and Mexico and Canada.
Yeah.
We
Wow.
did 10,490 miles. Dad and I drove the whole time and got to meet a lot of their friends friends they hadn't seen for a while, their chaplain, the friends in Seattle who was best man. We got to see some relatives, and it was a wonderful trip. My youngest sister, who's 15 years younger than me, she and I went. I left my husband and my home, and Dad and I drove, and like I say, it was an amazing trip to see all the places across country. You never have to leave this country to see everything. You
How
just
long
don't.
were you gone? Was it
6 weeks.
6 weeks?
The thing I remember about that trip, and this gal was the reason we went there, she insisted we had to go to Tijuana, Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And you know Tijuana's reputation? She wanted to go to Mexico, and of course that's the closest town across the border.
Yeah.
She had to see the San Diego Zoo. We traveled from the Canadian Rockies all the way down the West Coast and had to go to San Diego and Mexico
Mm.
before
And
we
I bought a
started home.
lampshade in Mexico that I still have to this day. And that, I've always loved stained glass. I make stained glass. And I wanted a stained glass lampshade from Mexico, and I got it. And I carried it on my lap all the rest of the way, I think, so nobody would hurt it. And Dad insisted we have a gun with us. So we hid the gun underneath the bed, and we went across the borders, and the first thing they would say is, do you have any firearms or anything illegal? No. If they had ever checked the camper, the RV, we'd have been in jail in some prison somewhere.
Well, tell them, since we've told them where we live and how long we've been there, tell them about the changes you've made in our home.
Oh my God.
About the telephone poles you used to have made into boards
And
for the wormy chestnut.
it's, all the basement is wormy chestnut.
Paneled
In
in.
the bedroom.
And the bedrooms,
And then the living room, tell them about that.
that I tore a piece out. I took 7 big black walnut trees to make all the pine. I air dried it for 5 years.
He made all the, his family.
And that's how, was that when you lost your fingers, or was it before that?
It was before that.
It was before that. Ah.
In fact, he's
Amazing.
done the whole house over inside. It's not at all like it was before. I have a marvelous kitchen, and the dining room, everything has been
Has been
What was
renovated.
22 rooms is now 14. And my brother bought it from Mom and Dad 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And they live upstairs, and Mom and Dad still have the downstairs. And that's the way it's been for generations, because when Dad bought it from his parents, he and Mom lived in the house, and his parents lived upstairs until they were gone. So that's the way it has been for generations.
But we feel guilty because we have the bigger part of the house. And my son and his wife and 2 children have a smaller portion of the house. But they're happy, so
Yeah.
we're happy.
Well, I'm happy, right?
Yeah. Well, I wonder if that's one of your secrets to longevity too, because they say
Sure.
that the generations living together is actually a really good thing. That
Well,
it,
they do this in the Orient, you know.
right.
They respect the elderly. But so many places in the world they don't.
Mm. Well, it sounds like you definitely know how to live life, and you've done it right.
Well, we've
And-
kept moving.
Yeah. Well, there you go, mentally and physically.
I recently had a note from one of my nieces who attended our reception on our 65th. And she said in it, it's so nice to see that you're not a furniture fixture, just sitting. She said, it's just a great feeling to see that you two are still active.
Mm. I think that's the
And-
secret.
You know, we don't think about it until somebody reminds you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I realize, I tell them all the time how fortunate they are at their ages, 88 and 93, to be still moving, still active, still being able to go out. Sure, they have aches and pains, but everybody does. There's very few their age that are still able to do what they do.
Well, I think they have their children, you all, to thank for that
We
too.
do.
It's
We do.
Of
because
course
it's
we do.
wonderful.
without
You're
our
very
children,
blessed.
We wouldn't be where we are.
No, of course
We
not.
have to depend on our children for a lot today, and they're there. This one gets called in the middle of the night. I ended up in the hospital with a heart problem, and the first one I called was her at 12 o'clock at night. Come over, I don't feel good. So she's the one called 911, but she's the one that gets the brunt of it.
Well, we'll close with this last little question for you, and that is, if you were to describe what's best about Carroll County to someone who's never visited, maybe one of these people you've seen on your trips, and you want to tell them, what would you say?
Friendship.
What?
All kind of friendship, I think, is very important. Don't be so stuck up. You live with yourself.
And that's the best thing that you can think of about Carroll County? Is that the best thing you can think of about Carroll County?
What makes you want to stay in Carroll County?
Well, where else would I want to go? I wouldn't know where else to go.
You like it because of its friendliness.
Well, sure, of course.
It's rural. You like that.
Yes.
You are not a city person.
Heaven's sakes, no.
Carroll County has a lot to offer. He's a lifetime member of the Farm Museum, and he has spent a lot of time there. And that he's so proud of that. He's proud of that, and he's on the hospital board. He just is so proud of that hospital. If somebody says something against the hospital, you get him up. You get him his stander up.
That's a wonderful hospital.
Yes, I know.
Oh, yet another interest. See, that's the secret. It sounds like you're a many-faceted person, you know, with all the different things that interest
Oh,
you.
sure.
So that's wonderful. Well,
You
I
don't,
think,
you don't want to go through all of his interests. because that's
No
gonna be here for
way.
2 hours.
No way.
yeah. Well, I'm sure you made a good choice then when
Well,
you
I
picked
think I
his
did.
name randomly off
Even though at our 65th anniversary, my nephew did a roast, and he accused me of standing beside the road and flagging down a soldier. And I said to him, that's not what I did at all. But I'm glad I got the one I got.
Oh, yeah.
I don't regret it. I would do it again. And for our anniversary, these kids, our 3 daughters sang It Had to Be You. They couldn't have picked a more appropriate song for
Aw.
us.
Well, thank you. That sounds like a wonderful way to end this interview. And we so appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to us.
Well,
It's
thank
been
you
a
for
pleasure
inviting
talking
us.
to you.
Thank you very much.